Lumps of meat there, you wouldn't object to that so much.
Well, maybe, yeah.
There are lots of people walking past saying, oh, that's gross, oh, that's horrible, because these are whole animals. Well, most of these people, or a lot of these people, are quite often eating burgers or chicken nuggets. I think it's the pre-packaging of food that makes it acceptable in terms of meat. And I think people have to remember that all meat actually starts like this or something like this.
It's only really in the last 50 years that pigs have been kept on such a scale as we keep them today. Before that, most families would have had a pig in the back garden, which would have had their kitchen waste. And really, it wasn't until after the war that very large units started being developed, first outside and then in these very intensive units that we've seen more latterly.
In Britain, we eat over 1 million tonnes of pork, bacon and ham each year. 99% of it comes from pigs which have been reared on intensive farms.
This is a relatively intensive house for weaned pigs. We call it a flat deck house. The pigs come in here at about 3 weeks of age and stay here for a further 4 or 5 weeks until they're old enough to move out. One of the main features of this house is we're trying to provide a very clean, warm, safe environment for the pigs. In order to maintain the temperature in the house, we have some control gear, the sensor which is here, and this control gear actually allows one man to look after quite a number of pigs, far more than he would be able to do without it. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is a pig that grows well. And a pig that grows well is one that needs to be happy. If the pigs aren't happy, they simply won't grow. 70% of the production cost of a pig is actually in feed, so that's equivalent to about £50 worth of food. Now, in order to make sure that that food is used as efficiently as we can, we make sure that it's a balanced diet, protein, fibre, energy sources, these sorts of things, especially vitamins and minerals to make sure that the pig is healthy. One of the systems that we've got here is a computerised wet feeding system, which does this job automatically for us, saving on time and labour and these sorts of things. This system can feed anything up to about 20,000 pigs for us, all on its own, totally automatically. Currently, in pig production, I can sell a pig for somewhere around £70 per pig, which sounds like quite a lot of money. But then when you consider that I'm probably paying out £67.50 in costs to produce that pig, you can see there's really not very much profit left in it for the farmer at the end of the day, about £2.50 per pig. Now, when you look at a system such as this, which incorporates straw bedding can cost as much as 50p a pig more. So you can see that eats away from the £2.50 profit, leaving me just £2.
Farmers are constantly looking for ways to improve the efficiency of their farms. They're also trying to improve the efficiency of the pigs themselves.
The pigs in this pen are undergoing a performance test. The idea of the performance test really is to identify the very best pigs and then use those pigs for the next generation. We're then able to improve the characteristics that we're interested in. One of the main characteristics of interest is that of feed intake. That is, how much feed the pig will eat during its growth phase.
Each pig has an electronic tag fixed to its ear. The feeder recognises each pig and records how much feed each pig has eaten, and this is then related to the increase in that pig's weight.
Currently, it takes about 2.5 kilograms of feed to produce 1 kilogram of pig. This includes not only the meat, but also the head, the skin, the legs, the bones, the innards, and everything else. However, the pig breeder is improving this ratio in the pig by about 50 grams per year. As feed is one of the most expensive items in pig production, this is one of the key areas that we're trying to improve.
By selecting the best pigs, other qualities can also be improved with each new generation.
Not only are we interested in growth rate, but the consumer is now very interested in the leanness of the pig. We're able to use ultrasound equipment, which will tell us how fat the pig is, which we measure at different positions on the back of the pig. This pig is 11 millimetres, which we may feel to be the optimum level. If we start to decrease fat depths below this level, this may result in problems with meat quality.
Further improvements can be achieved by crossbreeding different types of pig, combining the best qualities of each breed. Some breeds grow faster than others. Some have many offspring, what the breeders call high progeny. Other pigs thrive in poor weather conditions. By combining these traits, a super pig can be developed.
We had a rather exciting development a few years ago when we managed to import a new breed of pigs called the Maishan from near Shanghai in China. This breed is quite extraordinary in that while our normal breeds may average 12 pigs per litre, the Maishan frequently will average 16.
Although it produces many piglets, the Maishan grows slowly, and its meat has a very strong flavour which doesn't suit Western tastes. So the breeders have tried crossbreeding it with an English pig.
We hope to combine by this work the reproductive potential, or at least some of it, that we find in the Maishan, but to have much better growth rate. And so the animals that we're working with now are combining these two traits to work, of course, towards greater efficiency of pig production, but still producing pig meat, which people want to eat in the Western countries. Artificial insemination is a technology that we've incorporated into our breeding work in recent years. It has a number of advantages to us in speeding up this evolution. We can use just the very best boars, put them in a secure stud where they won't get disease coming in, and we can use that semen to sire offspring in a number of herds all over Britain. And in this way, we can more accurately select amongst their progeny and generally improve the rate at which we are changing those traits we're selecting for, like growth rate and back fat and feed efficiency.
But a lot of people have become uncomfortable with some aspects of modern meat farming. Public opinion about the welfare of animals has resulted in changes being made in some of the ways pigs are farmed.
This is a stall house, which is one of the systems that is used for pregnant sows within the UK. This is actually one of the systems that is being phased out of pig production from the year 1999. This is in response to consumer pressure. People don't like to see sows in this sort of environment. From a pig producer's point of view, we keep them warm, we keep them dry, we feed them well, they've got plenty of water, but when they're only in a space that's sort of 2 foot by 8 foot, they don't really have a lot of room to move around. This system costs less. It's a case of, if we want to move to more welfare-orientated systems, the cost of pig meat will go up, and at the end of the day, the consumer needs to be aware of that and perhaps needs to pay a little bit more for the product.
So we can influence the way animals are treated, but at a price. If people want cheaper meat, then farmers are forced to cut costs. The cheaper the meat you buy, the less welfare can be provided for the animals. Science has certainly cut the cost of farming, but have we gone too far?
Intensive husbandry systems have been made possible by the application of science, which has enabled us to produce animals more rapidly, to produce more milk, and generally to live a healthier life in an intensive environment where a lot of animals are crowded in together. Now, in general, this is a good thing because it's produced cheaper food for the public, and in general, science has been good for animal welfare. But there are exceptions, and one of the most severe of all exceptions is, in fact, the life of the breeding sow. Now, this lady here is a classical example of the difference between a sow in an enriched, happy environment of a city farm and the excesses of the most intensive systems. In the most intensive of husbandry systems, when sows are stalled or chained for 24 hours a day, and they get access to food for only about 2 minutes a day, I simply would not have dared to do this because the sow would have attacked me. That is an indication not that the sow is an evil creature, but the husbandry system is not meeting her behavioural needs.
Pigs have, unfortunately for them, been very abused, partly because they're such efficient animals in the first place. They convert feed very, very well indeed, and it's possible to manipulate the breeding of them and the feeding of them so that they will produce very high yields of meat in a very short space of time. Pigs out here are organically managed, so this is a very different system to most pig units that you find in the UK at the moment. The basic differences are that the pigs are all outside, not just for the first few weeks of the piglet's life, but all their lives. Our whole philosophy here is that pigs and any other animal have a right to a decent life, even though at the end of the day they're providing food for us. We always put the welfare of the pig first and foremost, and that's the whole basis of the system.
For centuries, man has kept animals for meat. Pig farmers today are no different, and we're people who care about the animals themselves. This is shown in the sorts of environments we're trying to give them, keeping them clean, warm and dry. If you go to an outdoor situation, you're probably looking at pigs that are exposed to temperatures as low as -10 during the winter and as hot as maybe +30 degrees C in the summer. Here we can actually maintain the temperatures that little bit greater and actually add to the welfare of the pigs.
In the days when almost every family had a pig in the back garden to eat up their waste scraps, the pig would be slaughtered and then salted down, and the hams and bacon hung on big hooks in the kitchen where they would dry out. So with a combination both of the salt and the drying process, bacteria were unable to grow, and so that the bacon could be used whenever it was required.
The traditional method for making ham involves adding a mixture of salt and saltpeter, another name for potassium nitrate.
The salt it preserves the meat, and the saltpeter gives the ham its traditional pinky colour and helps to stop unpleasant bacteria growing in the ham. We salt the outside of the ham and through where the bone went, and then it's laid down for a few weeks for the salt to move all the way through. This whole process takes about 6 weeks, after which time the hams are hung to mature until they're required. In the olden days, hams might be hanging like that for 6 or 8 months at a time, and by the time people got to use them, they were very dry and very salty indeed.
Over the years, many more chemicals have been added to ham, and the flavour has changed considerably.
The modern day ham on the market at the present moment has got a very low salt content. It's a much more milder ham than it used to be made for years ago. It's got a shorter shelf life. Generally, there's about a 3-week life in the ham, under refrigeration, of course. It's a better quality ham, we believe. It's juicier and tender, got a nice colour, and the public seem to like these hams a lot better than the drier ham that they used to come to expect.
Once the skin has been removed, the meat is injected with water containing dissolved chemicals. But today's consumer has become increasingly wary of artificial additives. So what exactly does go into a modern ham?
The main ingredients for a pickle cure is salt. Gives the ham its colour and its flavour. The next ingredient we put in is glucose and syrup, is much the same thing, flavour and colour again. Then we have phosphate. Polyphosphate we use phosphate in the ham for after it's cooked, we slice it. When it's sliced, we want to give it a nice texture, a nice appearance on the ham, and it's very essential to have it there for it to make it look nice. Then we have the antioxidant, and when a ham is sliced, it stops the ham from discolouring. It keeps a nice, bright pink colour in the ham.
Over the course of 2 weeks, a ham without preservative will rapidly decay.
Of course, the next two is nitrate and nitrite. Now here is what we put into 60 hams, the equivalent of 60 hams, 600 pounds of meat. If you did not have these in the hams, you would probably have botulism and a lot of food poisoning.
The hams are tumbled in a vat for 12 hours and then pressed into a rectangular box. They're cooked for 5 hours, then left to stand overnight. The ham is then ready to eat. The modern pig has been bred to have less fat in response to consumer demand. Research shows that eating too much animal fat may lead to heart problems. The social trend towards being thinner also means people eat less fat. But what any responsible slimming program must recognise is that fat is an essential part of our diet. All fats provide us with energy, but not all fats are the same. Animal fats are more saturated than plant fats. Eating too much animal fat can cause health problems. Much of the fat in the British diet comes from animals. Fats from plants are generally more unsaturated. These fats can't be made in the body and are an important part of a balanced diet. The traditional Indian diet contains only a third of the fat found in a Western diet, and nearly all of that comes from vegetables and is unsaturated. Meat and animal fats are considered a luxury in India and are very expensive.
Traditionally, ghee, which is made from butter, is used very sparingly. Ghee is a saturated fat, but as it is used in moderation, it doesn't create any health problems. But when people come to the West, they use more of saturated fat in their diet because it is cheap. And it is then when it creates a health hazard.
Traditional Indian food doesn't rely on fat for its flavour. A huge range of spices is added to an equally wide range of fresh vegetables.
The traditional diet is high in fiber and low in fat. The reason for that is because people use more green leafy vegetables which are cheap in season, and they also use lots of tropical fruits. But when people come to this country, they use less of their vegetables and they start to eat more convenience food, and that's why their diet becomes more unhealthy.
Food labels do describe the amount of fat in a product, but they're often difficult to understand and don't offer a comparison with similar foods.
It's hard to tell today which foods are high or low in fat. In fact, many foods that call themselves low fat, like low fat sausages or low fat spreads, can actually be quite high in fat. What we need is a system that will tell us at a glance whether something is high, medium or low in fat.
Until we have clearer information, it's up to us to compare labels and control the fat in our diet.